I don't believe that progress is linear. The more that you repeat phrases, our brain loves repetition. That has been like a big shift when it comes to a lot of my fatigue symptoms, when it comes to showing up as the clinician that I want to be. Welcome to the Save Your Spoon podcast. I'm your host, Natalie. I swear I just opened up my email and I was like, my boyfriend saw this, he would probably have a heart attack. I took a week off last week and I definitely needed that relaxation. I was away in Florida and it's crazy. I don't know if anyone else with an autoimmune disease or just like with chronic fatigue resonates with this. Oh my goodness, I will be literally on my deathbed during a work day. I don't know if it's like the high cognitive load of just the demand of like constantly thinking, constantly showing up for sessions, and like physically I'm sitting in a chair all day. I have to stretch. But when I'm on vacation, like I think there was only one day where I was like zonked. I was also kind of like laying out and tanning, it's my happy place. I am happy to say that I was on vacation. I think there's a lot that I have been reevaluating with social media and where I've been going. Today, I'm happy to announce that I opened up my Save Your Spoon Facebook group. Now, I made this like a month ago, like the beginning of 2024, and I was just waiting for the divine timing. When would be the best for me to share this piece of information? And I posted on Reddit. I was like, hey guys, I have an autoimmune disease. I have like a chronic condition. I'm just curious, anyone else resonate? And I got a lot of answers, and people were like, yeah, there's a lot of us. And I think I've been more open to the idea of like, I want to have more people on the podcast. And I think today's episode is going to be a nice leeway in to my first guest. We're going to talk about stuttering, and I'm really excited for it. I've been handling logistics, and I think this will be a nice little introduction to having more people on the podcast. I do want to focus on speech and language. I want to focus on how people have healed themselves, how people find just the goal that is life when they are handed a box of sour lemons. That was a really bad analogy, but you get the point. When we are all healers, we have to support other healers. And so that's kind of what made me like, let's finally post this. Let's get the show on the road. And I want to show up for the community. I think I've come to the point where I feel like not so self-sufficient. I need my community. But I really want to help others pave the way to helping them improve their quality of life, to helping them find what makes them happy, what brings them joy when you are dealing with such a high stress, busy job. It's something that like I'm beginning to choose over social events. I know I've talked about that in previous episodes, and just like finding what matters most to you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you are someone who has taken AP Psych 100, you know what I'm referring to. Think of the triangle. I wish I could do like a screen on this. I don't know how. So those of you who are just listening via audio, you're not missing out on anything. So a couple more housekeeping things. I was looking up some affirmations that we can use. And like I've seen people empower people in the positions that I want to be. Use it. So it's called like the chakras. You have like your root chakra, like that at the root is like, I am abundant. I have all of these things. Then you move up to your sacral chakra, and then you use I feel abundance. Then you move to your solar plexus. I do things that bring me abundance. It's action, it's applying. Then you have your heart chakra. I love abundance. I love being abundant. Then you have your throat chakra. I speak like someone who is abundant. I speak with abundant thoughts. I speak with abundance. And you have the third eye is I see abundance. And then the top crown chakra is I understand what it takes to be abundant. And so all those different steps helps you really imprint what you want in your life. So whether that be abundance, or you could do I am wealthy, I am $1 million business owner, whatever you want, you can put that at the end of to help you get to where you want to be. Again, I know it sounds very hippy dippy, but it's actually based in neuroscience. And the more that you repeat phrases, our brain loves repetition. Just the neural network system, neurons that fire together, rewire together. So the more that you tell yourself something, the more you're going to look towards it. That's why gratitude's so important, because it not only allows you to focus on the things you want in your life, the happiness, it also makes you more frequently look for happier things in life. And you might force yourself to list 3 things that you are grateful for at the beginning, but then it's like second nature to you. All right. So thank you for the introduction. My long introduction. So now we're going to switch gears and talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And think about when you're reflecting on growth. When you think of yourself when you're fresh out of the womb, food, water, hug, and milk. You start with the bare essentials, and then as you grow, your needs get more complex. So you start out with just like needing your mom and a few things. Then it starts to like, it's really beneficial to have like safety, to have security with your relationships with your family. And then you start wanting like a bigger community. You seek friendship with peers, with others. And as you get older, you want to start working towards a goal. You want to do well in school or in art. And as you see, they get more abstract. Now you have people who are working on mindset, mindfulness, really working religion into their everyday practices. And that's where you get higher and higher up that hierarchy. Higher up the hierarchy. There are 5 categories of needs. The first is physiological needs. Think air, water, shelter, sleep, clothing, depending on what age you are, reproduction. So think about this as the bare essentials. You need water to go on to survive. These are help you maintain homeostasis to exist as a human being. If you do not have that foundation, you cannot have the rest. You cannot have safety. You cannot have other love and belongingness. You cannot have kind of like the end goal, like self-actualization. It's going to all crumble. The next is safety needs. So this can be like personal security. It could be employment, making sure you have resources, financial needs are being met. Your health is in good shape, even like your spiritual like well-being. And I'll get more into that, but maybe not spiritual, but let's think your own mind. Let's think your mental health. And then that you are having property. You do own things that bring you a sense of joy, bring you safety, some emotional support animals. Going back to safety, our physiological needs, once they're met and we find a safe environment, we also really prioritize order and predictability. By human nature, this is what humans crave. It gives us a sense of safety because we can more easily detect like, okay, what's our next step? Are we about to be attacked? Are we about to lose our jobs? That predictability, that order, that control that we have really allows us to feel safe in our belonging. You have the step above it. And if you notice with safety, you do not have people yet. You have like your personal security, you have where you stand, you have your resources that help you thrive in your situation. But again, we're looking at it from a very like inward take. You have physiological needs, the air, water, a roof over your head, and then you have finances to keep you going. You have your health to keep you going. The third is love and belonging. This is where we start to integrate more people. This is where friendship comes in. This is where intimacy, family, this is where a sense of connection comes into. But we seek community. But again, if we don't have air, water, food, we can't live. And if we don't have the personal security or the resources, we might not have that flexibility to actively build stronger, healthier relationships, or we might only have a few relationships, but we don't have a sense of connection. We don't have a sense of community. There's like a human emotional need for these interpersonal relationships. Next, we have esteem. And this is something too that as we're working up, you'll see like, where are you in this? So we have love and belonging. I think that's a really big one, especially in our 20s. We're trying to find out who our tribe is. We're trying to figure out relationships, how we feel about family. We also might see some of those safety needs, such as like employment. Are you happy in your job? Do you feel like you want a raise? Do you feel like you want to buy a better place? And then as we move up, we start to see esteem. This is the respect that you have for yourself. It's kind of like your status. Are you working towards where you are in your company? Do you want that recognition of being a very well-known, renowned doctor or somewhere in corporate America or SLP? Do you want that strength to be shown of like your character? Do you want that freedom of, I'm going to do what I want to do in this life? This is where like that achievement comes in. We really work towards our goals. We want to master what is given to us, but the more we work up the totem pole, the less motivation we as humans have. So we might be like, oh, I have everything I need. I don't have to master this because I'm content where I am. And if you want to grow, that might be hard for you to work through that. I want more. But again, motivation decreases as needs are met. So kind of like that esteem, that's where it stops. The next, we have self-actualization. And this is where motivation increases as needs are met. This is to the point where we start to see our hardships, our difficulties, not in a negative pursuit. We see it as a challenge rather than as a downfall. So self-actualization, you might think just by like the way that the name sounds that this is something that is more inward. But in my opinion, if anything, it's looking from a more outward perspective. It refers to the realization of someone's potential, of their fulfillment. And even though it might look like a personal growth, at the end of the day, most of the time, it's where you can best serve yourself and others. It's where you best can love others. Again, this is where we start to see reframing. We start to see things in a new light instead of being that decreased motivation, that decreased push, that drive to keep on doing. We start to see hardships as a challenge. You're like, excuse me, I can do better than that. It's a higher way of growing. Every challenge is a deep opportunity. It's a deeper meaning. And it requires all different types of ideals. Reframing and even mindfulness at sometimes make you change the way you think about a situation, and it includes how others might feel about it. We have a wider concept and it transcends beyond us. So I'm trying to think of a good example. We could do today when I was thinking about, do I want to allocate more time to Save Your Spoon? Do I want to allocate more time and resources to building a foundation? And in my head, I was like, no, because yeah, that's going to drain more of my energy. But then I'm like, you know what? This goes beyond myself because I do want to help more people. And this isn't me being like manipulative in any way. I was talking to my dad and I was like, man, I feel like a loser sometimes because like if it was up to me, I would just like love to preach and connect. I've had so much fun over the past couple days, just like seeing how things mean people and how like they have done amazing things and climbed amazing mountains and have still made it out with such a pure outlook on life. And again, this is something that like, yeah, it's going to take so much of my time, but I would love at the end of the day that people would want to connect and want to discuss more about it. And at the end of the day, no one feels left alone because I know how many people are going through an experience that I have. The higher it goes with ideals, the more people it includes. So if you're considering something that is on a wider scale, if you're looking to start a company, if you're looking to change your mindset, if you're looking to take on clients, you could see that the bigger idea you have, the more people it involves. The same is for challenges. Even mindfulness, like I mentioned, being able to take a step back and regulate how you feel in that moment can help you do your job better, because now you could show up as the clinician that you're meant to be. You could show up as the salesman you're meant to be. It allows you to do your job better because you gave yourself that time to process what you're enduring. That mindfulness also allows you to kind of paint a picture outside of yourself. You see that you're connected to more things than just your own body. You can also process other techniques, other avenues that you may have not considered otherwise. The thing is, some people might not even want to get to that self-actualization, even just getting the esteem. We have to have physiological needs met. We need to have safety met. And so when I was looking up research on this topic, something that we often overlook is like, oh, what do I need to be a better person? We need sleep. We need like 7 to 8 hours of sleep, of good quality sleep. This, like mindfulness, meditation, all of those little tips and tricks are going to be 10 times harder to accomplish if you're not getting adequate sleep. It can also be like a problem with autoimmune diseases. It can also be a problem with vitamin deficiencies. You might not see you have a problem, and that's why we need to take care of those physiological needs so you could show up as the professional you want to be. You could show up for work and get those safety needs net, that financial net. You can get your friends, your partners. You can engage in more higher quality relationships. But that means you have to take care of yourself and your body, and we can't always do that. What we also need is to prioritize like eating, making sure that we're getting high quality foods. Whole foods is something that I've always like sworn by. I mean, I guess like in recent like post-diagnosis. But for me, I think like that has been like a big shift when it comes to a lot of my fatigue symptoms, when it comes to showing up as the clinician that I want to be. Whenever I do get stressed out, I see myself moving through the hierarchy. Like sometimes it is really difficult to prioritize mindfulness. It's like pushing it to practice what I preach sometimes. And that's because I'm human and you're human too, and it's okay. But that's when I always go back to physiological, like what can I do to make myself feel better? I make myself a big bowl of food that I want to eat that's healthy. Like it will be ground beef and a ton of veggies, and that tastes so good to me. Or I'll make a smoothie that's like all zucchini and protein powder and stuff like that. I will make sure that I like actually give my body a rest. And because I do have a nervous system that is dysregulated, I do shift, like will randomly have like spells of dizziness. Like I have to take it slower. And so honoring what your body needs in that moment. I recognize that not all of these needs can be met. And I don't want to sound all high and mighty about like, oh, I'm working towards self-actualization. The thing is, if you're working towards the goal of bettering yourself, if you do have that motivation, you are in the right direction. I don't believe that progress is linear. I think when you look at a big scale over the course of 20 years, yes, it's going to be linear, but it's not going to show all the grooves and dips that you might take. And honoring yourself when you do need those physiological steps, when you do need to take a break. Maybe you didn't get paid as much as you wanted one week. If you find that your safety needs need to shift a little, that's okay. I think Maslow had a really good idea, and I think I really want to talk about how you can use this with growing, but I want to make sure to leave you with the idea that you need to make sure that every part of your needs are met before you can keep on working towards your end goal. So if that means going to get a blood test done, so be it. If that means buying supplements or sleeping an extra 2 hours, so be it. I do think that we can all be our best selves with the help of, we can do everyday routines, shifts in our everyday routines. That's what I've been trying to preach with my vlogs and stuff. But there's also a place for like Western medicine and making sure that you're taking care of your body to the extent that it demands. I also don't want to overlook the sense of community. So if you are interested in joining Save Your Spoon, I'll put the link in the description. I hope you guys have something to take away from this, and I will see you next time.